TVC News business editor Tolulope Ogunjobi, who is on the streets of Lagos to monitor events on the suspension of Godwin Emefiele, joins me on the news this hour. Thank you very much, Tolu, for joining us at this point. Of course, tell us where you are and the feelings of Nigerians on the street concerning the suspension of Emefiele.
I'm at the hello Theophilus. I'm at the toll gate itself. That's the turning. That's inbound. If you're going towards Lagos Ibadan Expressway, you go through this. This is the toll gate where the old toll gate used to be. And I've been able to speak to one or two people about this development even before now. Like my colleague said in a report, Governor Emefiele, as a suspended governor, was appointed in 2014 by President Goodluck Jonathan and reappointed by President Muhammadu Buhari until yesterday, when the suspension was instituted by President Bola Tinubu. Now, a lot of issues around monetary policies of the central bank in recent times. Some of them were highlighted in that report. But let me talk to one or two people I've met on the streets who are just bearing their minds. What they can really relate with is the cash redesign policy. Mr. Lawrence is one of them. Mr. Lawrence, now tell us about that cash redesign policy and how it affected you.
Well, the thing is terrible for this country because it's affected many people. People is dying. People suffering about the money. People took their wife, pregnant woman, to the hospital to get cash. Is it too much? Yeah, terrible. Before you know it, the woman is dead. So people suffering in this country because of the money. Stopping all the old money to using it to say there's no money. Okay, there's no new money again. Okay, now they already returned the old money back to people to use again. You see, that's in Nigeria federal government, they know what they are doing. Then central bank governor is suspended now. What I think is a pity, because if Buhari is in seat now, it's two of them they're supposed to suspend, because two of them is work to hand. When even has Buhari says central bank governor, has central government says Buhari. So they are putting Nigeria into confusion, into thinking. So that's what I say. So I see this. So learn the Nigeria to sort it out.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you.
Mr. Lawrence. Now, clearly, just like the point Mr. Lawrence raised, some have asked questions that did Mr. Emefiele take all of these decisions just by himself? He had some people working with him, some deputy governors also working with him, and the Monetary Policy Committee has even lecturers, intellectuals from the academia. They are part of this team that do this analysis before they come up with policies. So really, if you look at all of this, it looks like Mr. Emefiele obviously has some questions to answer, because what the CBN should do rightly is to manage monetary policy, payment system, and of course issues around our reserves. And I can tell you, with what we have on ground, most of those demands were not met. So one way or the other, he indeed has a question to answer. Theophilus.
Well, Tolulope, looking at what your guest there had to say as regarding the sack of Emefiele, can you walk us through the process? Because I monitored social media, Twitter especially, yesterday, and many people did not actually understand the process of relieving a CBN governor of his duties. They felt the president should have outrightly sacked him. Just walk us through the process.
Yes, you know, under the law that governs the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Senate must have a hand before the president can sack the CBN governor. But I think that is also going to be reviewed, because if you remember, when the CBN governor before suspension was summoned by the senators, by the Senate Committee on Banking specifically, he took a while before he later went to attend to them and, to respond to their questions. So all of this, some of the lawmakers believe that the powers of the CBN might be too much, and I think that maybe the 10th Senate might want to look at that and examine all of this, re-examine it, and see how they can make sure that they can check the excesses of anybody that becomes governor. Don't also forget that this same Mr. Godwin Emefiele picked a form, or he said people picked a form on his behalf for the All Progressives Congress to run for presidency. And this was a sitting CBN governor at that time. All of this, I'm sure they don't go along with the law, but the thing is that the Senate must have a hand in it before that can be done. So I think the easier way is to put him on suspension while all of the investigations continue. There's also a very big one, like when you saw the list from the DSS, financing terrorism. So it's now involving security, business, economy, politics, and all of that is coming into this discussion, Theophilus. It's getting so very interesting. But like I said, the lawmakers must have a hand to it, and I'm sure they will do something and look at that while this suspension still goes on. And we try to, more revelations will definitely come up with regards to this issues, Theophilus.
Gojobi, thank you very much. I'm sure you have some cash there. I saw some snacks just behind you, so maybe you bring some to the office on your way back. Thank you very much, Tolulokwe, for talking to us, business editor